Welcome to Living in Beauty. It's Wednesday, August 2nd, 2017, and we're still in the Hocking Hills State Park near Logan, Ohio, about an hour from Columbus. What's not to love about Ohio? It's in the mid-70s here with occasional showers. That's my idea of perfect weather, and we're parked about 50 feet away from Old Man's Cave Trailhead, one of the best hikes in the world. And that's no exaggeration. We're meeting people here from Russia, France, Japan. Came here to cast eyes on this mystical and exotic canopied forest with echoing bird song. Kind of reminds me of the film Avatar. Hocking Hills certainly would have been on our bucket list if we'd known about it. But as usual, we just stumbled here. More and more, this peripatetic life leads us like the blind, losing our grip on our own relevance, guiding us away from dependence on purpose, affirmation, goals. Intentions, convictions, beliefs are not destinations. Love and gratitude is the fuel that takes us up, up, and away. What we used to think of as side roads are now our most important routes. For gorgeous scenery and conversation, you can't beat those iconic country roads winding through pastures and farmland. Our favorite LIB moments are spent following tractors at 5 miles per hour and braking for chickens. Diversions from interior highways to busy interstates is usually either to fuel up or visit Candyland, corporate malls with Costco, Target, Best Buy, Trader Joe's, Petco, and of course, Cracker Barrel Old Country Store for dinner and a complimentary overnight stay in their parking lot. Most RVers know that Cracker Barrel, Walmart, and most truck stops, rest areas, and even some hotels allow stealth dry camping for those passing through. But very few travelers we've met are aware of Harvest Hosts, a model that joins old world hospitality to grassroots commerce. Harvest Hosts is a member club that provides access to family farms, wineries, and museums that offer RVers dry camping spots on their privately owned grounds based on availability. With a mere $40 annual membership fee and a little pre-arrangement by phone or email, we're invited to pull into one of their participating locations. The only requirement is adherence to the rules of membership, which involves some level of commerce, whether it's to stock up on artisan cheese, farm fresh eggs, experience a wine tasting, dinner, or tour a museum. Now that the quality of our full-time travel is vastly upgraded through Harvest Hosts, we stock up on top-notch local produce and wines. FYI, Beauty has a 20-bottle wine cellar, and enjoy epic snoozes nestled deep in the comfort of America's cradles of agriculture. Another obvious benefit of Harvest Hosts is ready access to the local network. Our hosts often say, "Don't tell anyone you got it from me, but there's a swimming hole, or view spot, or boondocking, hot springs, festival." Also, they fill you in on the backcountry routes, advise what areas to avoid due to road construction, wind, ice, and sometimes even open the map to point out where to find the cheapest fuel and best diners. Harvest Hosts is a sweet, sweet find, and we'd like to share 7 of our favorite Harvest Host sites. Twice we visited Snyder Winery in Buell, Idaho. On our first visit on September 19th, 2016, we arrived when the restaurant was closed, but at least the tasting room was open. Claudia Snyder, the owner, invited us to occupy any available space in her gated parking lot. Since her entire property is so lovely, the choice was difficult. So on our second stay, May 27th, 2017, we reserved a table for dinner. Snyder's is also a top-notch steakhouse with casual French country atmosphere, offering dining on the outdoor patio, sunroom, and also indoors. We wanted a casual dinner, so we chose the sunroom with a spectacular vineyard view. As long as they'll have us, we'll return to Snyder's whenever we visit Buell. And we can't say enough about the southern hospitality we received at Delmonico Winery in Baxter, Tennessee. The quietness, the seclusion of this area on the outskirts of Nashville provided needed solitude for our aching heads after an arduous 10-hour journey involving Nashville traffic. comforted by generous pours from Alex, our sommelier, and nourished with a light dinner of fresh local cheese and pickled okra, which we purchased from the Delmonico store, we retired to our trailer before dark. The gravel parking lot beside a seldom-used railroad track which runs through the kudzu-laced forest served us well for the night. Rails trigger my imagination, so sitting outside at dusk as the lightning bugs commenced beneath the half-full moon, I finished off a half-empty bottle of Southern wine and took notes for a future novel. Oh, and Naked Winery, Sick and Twisted Brewery. Arriving on a busy Harvest Host weekend, the owner, Rob Livingston, moved earth to make sure we had a space by the pretty creek behind the property. Now, that's hospitality. This wine and brew pizza tavern is a traveler's haven. We enjoyed a beer tasting, excellent pizza, and memorable conversation among the guests and staff. Hey, this place is supposed to be fun, and they really pull it off. This would be an ideal meetup destination with other Harvest Host members to fuel up and partay. Wild Prairie Winery in Brandon, South Dakota, really took us by surprise. Not only the wines, but the location right inside the vines where we were invited to set up camp. To visit this family farm and vineyard is like entering the film set of a prairie romance. The preserved vintage dairy barn turned winery and tasting room was in itself mesmerizing. Definitely worth the look-see as we sipped on a chilled rosé. Victoria Wild, the owner, studied winemaking in California, and Wild Prairie is now a destination on the South Dakota Wine Trail. The bucolic house, barn, and grounds are not countrified for tourism. It's real country. Friends meet here for conversation on a hot day. Locals get married in the barn. This is pure South Dakota. We found Wild Prairie wines to be complex and robust. We took some bottles with us. The Frontenac, deep, dry cherry notes, edgy and earthy, like an episode of Deadwood, introduced us to South Dakota wine. Wild Prairie's excellent sommelier gave us a tour that deepened our appreciation for the joy and care that is invested in truly handmade wines. And when nighttime came, with the Wild's permission, we strolled among the vines, quaffing our wine, and watched the moon rise. And we slept well. Oh, yeah, real well. Okay, on to Minnesota. Garvin Heights Vineyards, owned by Linda and Marvin Sepinen. Garvin Heights Vineyards is a popular retreat for residents of Winona. This is a friendly neighborhood winery where locals meet on the spacious deck to talk about community events, like the Great River Shakespeare Festival. We were greeted by Marvin, who kindly reserved a place for us down the slope near the end of the driveway, right in the vineyard. Even in July, there was no need for air conditioning. After our tasting, we took a bottle of crisp, dry rosé outside, where a cool breeze hinted of rain. Then, after a perfect night's rest and before the downpour, we drove about a quarter-mile downhill from Garvin Heights Vineyards to a viewpoint where an asphalt-paved trail winds down the side of the bluff into Winona, where, prior to Western expansion, was home to an established Sioux community. Winona is on an island in the Mississippi River Valley. Through binoculars, we viewed cycling paths, kayakers, waterside dining, parks, and campgrounds. How had this place escaped our radar? Wishing we could stay, but on a damn schedule, we must stop making those. We consoled ourselves with a bag of scones and cinnamon rolls from Bluto's Bakery. Best pecan scones we've ever had. And hit the road, promising to return and spend some serious time exploring lovely Winona. And Wisconsin. Nothing says it like cheese. And Larry and Clara Hedrick are saying it best at LeClaire Farms. We love goats, and even kept one when we lived in Spring Valley. And we love goat cheese. We made reservations several days ahead, and we're really looking forward to this visit. The owners showed us where to park and invited us to put out our awnings, another great benefit of Harvest Host over stealth camping and Candyland. We were also invited to watch the handlers perform the daily goat milking in LeClaire's air-conditioned goat viewing theater. That's right, with comfortable seating. Later, we sat down to a cheese tasting and a small dinner, and chef cheesecake for dessert. I had no words for that cheesecake except give me that recipe. The chef advised to just sub chef in my favorite cheesecake recipe. Okie dokie, gonna do that. We were smitten with the farm and the entire area, and I discovered a new favorite source for sending food gifts. Now, all this rushing through South Dakota and Wisconsin was because we had a coveted appointment at the Airstream factory in Ohio for service. So we passed through Elkhart, Indiana, to spend the night at the RV Hall of Fame parking lot. We arrived an hour before closing with plans to view the collection in the morning. The employee at the front desk greeted us and encouraged us to have a pleasant night in their nice, level, asphalt parking lot. Since the weather was so pleasant, we chose a space with a large lawn and tree. By nightfall, there were 2 motorhomes camping beside us, and everyone exchanged friendly greetings while walking our dogs. Next morning, we spent more than 2 hours immersed in the remarkable history of living the dream in America. Since joining Harvest Hosts almost a year ago, we haven't even begun to exploit the possibilities, like a California wine tour. Now, with our solar and inverter installation, Harvest Host is putting even more beauty into LIB. These agricultural side trips are an elegant alternative to private campgrounds, which are increasingly expensive, noisy, and run down. And more personally, Harvest Host sites tend to harken memories of my granddaddy's farm in Alabama and the pleasure of being in the country, turning the soil, picking and pickling, shelling and shucking, all of the best things about life here on planet Earth. Thanks so much for joining us at Living in Beauty. If you like this post and want to be notified when a new one is released, please enter your email address and click the follow button at the bottom of the page. Okay, that's it. Have a great week.